Welcome to episode number 33 of the MoneySauce podcast. This week, as we get ready for a big month here in Toronto and around North America, I'm gonna do a solo cast with you guys, and we're gonna make the soccer segment the majority of the show this week. Let's have a quick look at some updates in the hockey world with some breaking-ish news to begin things. So first things first, the Stanley Cup Finals continue to roll along. The Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights, who we've talked about over the last couple weeks there, they're tied 2-2. Game number 5 tomorrow night. We'll see. It could be by this time next week when the podcast is being recorded, it could be over. But we'll look into that as things continue to unfold. It's been kind of a back and forth series thus far. And it's actually, I think I joked last week that's the darkest timeline, but it's actually been somewhat entertaining. We had a double overtime game a couple games ago, game two, I believe, or game three, excuse me. And yeah, continues rolling along. In the not so great news for Garrett category, we talked a little bit about the news about the All-Star game and the new format that the NHL would be taking on last week. Part of the press conference there with the NHL was that there was a report that had surfaced that Gary Bettman and the Board of Governors were looking at, succession planning for Gary. But apparently Gary said, I am 74. I do acknowledge the fact that I can't do this forever, but there's nothing happening imminently. And any reports of my demise or retirement are greatly exaggerated. So, good news, Garrett. Your buddy Gary is going to be around for a while longer. Other NHL news, the Detroit Red Wings captain Dylan Larkin has requested a trade, and he has a full no movement clause. Um, so he basically gets to dictate where he's going to go, assuming that the Red Wings do trade him as per his request. He has basically said, I'm going to Florida to the Panthers, Minnesota to the Wild, or Las Vegas to the Golden Knights. So interesting to see what will happen there. He has 5 years left on an 8-year contract. So the majority of the contracts left. That's a lot of it's a lot of money left, and I'm sure the Red Wings aren't interested in, in carrying any of that cap money going forward, especially not for that long a time. We'll follow that closely. The story with the Leafs continues to grow as well. One of the coaching candidates, apparently one of the many people interviewed, was snapped up by the Kings and Peter Laviolette. So the LA Kings have hired him, and that takes his name off the board for both the Leafs and the Oilers. Word on the street is that Mike Babcock might be coming back as the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. I think his last kind of attempt at a comeback to the NHL with Columbus and the way he flamed out kind of at the end with Toronto, I don't think it's what the Oilers need, but hey, in further news about that, his son, also Michael Babcock, is going to be coaching the OHL's Brantford Bulldogs this year. The Leafs have added another name to the list of interviewers for the head coach role, Joe Pavelski. He's got no NHL coaching experience, but sounds like Pavelski, who retired at the end of the 2023-24 season, might be in the mix here. Somebody that has no coaching history is quite a choice. But anyways, moving into the soccer news, we talked a little bit last week about what's going on with CF Montreal. Well, Don Garber said that he's very optimistic about CF Montreal's future in the league. So that's good news. As we talked about, MLS is going to be switching to a winter schedule in 2027. Garber visited Montreal to see the renovations on the roof at Olympic Stadium there. And essentially, Garber said the renovations are remarkable, but he cautioned that the stadium would still need a full overhaul to ensure the long-term viability of Montreal's MLS club. Now, because of the move to the winter schedule, it's expected that Olympic Stadium will essentially become the primary stadium for CF Montreal as opposed to Stade Saputo. I guess we'll see. I mean, definitely an old stadium that could use a revamp, and if they have a tenant, I don't see why not. They've already spent 500 million to modernize the stadium in terms of the roof and I guess we said the sound system and the like. So let's go all the way in and save CF Montreal. But the big thing this week, starting tomorrow, actually, or today, by the time you're listening to this, 2026 FIFA World Cup begins. Tomorrow, Thursday at 3 p.m., Mexico is facing South Africa at the Estado Azteca in Mexico City. And that will be the first game of the tournament, followed by a nightcap game between South Korea and Czechia in Guadalajara. And then we move on Friday to Toronto, where the hosts, one of the hosts, co-hosts, Canada, will play at 3 p.m. against Bosnia, and um, that'll be the first ever World Cup match played in Canada. Later that night, the U.S. will also take on Paraguay in L.A. Basically, from there on in, we're going to be treated to two or three matches per day as the expa expanded field of teams plays in this being the biggest World Cup ever. Um, let's take a step back though. In 1930 was actually the first World Cup. Just 13 countries played, and now we fast forward to this year's going to be up to 48 countries in the round robin. As has been the case for decades, the teams are divided into groups of four for the round robin play. So have three games you have three opponents that you play against. And for this year, the teams will move on to a 32 team knockout single elimination stage. So this time you'll have the best two teams from each group and then eight third place teams from the 12 different groups will move forward into this knockout stage, and it'll go from 32 to 16, et cetera, down until we have ourselves a winner. This is the first time as well that the World Cup has been played in three countries. So the US is going to be hosting 78 of the 104 matches across 11 different cities. We'll get to those different cities in a second. Canada and Mexico will have 13 games each, and we'll get to those venues as well. So Vancouver and Toronto are the hosts in Canada. Will each host five games in the group stage, and then one in the round of 32. And then Vancouver, on top of that, will get a round of 16 match. And then everything from the quarterfinals onward takes place in the US. The World Cup final will take place on July 19th. That'll be at MetLife Stadium, which is the home of the New York Giants and the New York Jets. There's some new rules too. A win in the group stage is worth 3 points. A draw in the group stage is worth 1 point, and a loss is worth nothing. That's not new. But in previous World Cups, if two or more teams finish with the same number of points, the placing our ranking was determined by their total goal differential in their three group games. Now, this year, the first tiebreaker is going to be the head-to-head result. So Canada and Switzerland are in the same group. If they end up with the same record, but Switzerland, let's say, beats Canada, then Switzerland will win the tiebreaker. If they ended up tying each other, the next one would be head-to-head goal difference, then head-to-head goals. And if that still doesn't resolve the tie, it goes to overall goal differentials. Another noticeable change is that regardless of the temperature, and this was something that came into play in Qatar in 2022, but regardless of the temperature, each match will include a pair of 3-minute hydration breaks to allow players to grab a drink. And broadcasters can probably sell some more ads during that time too. So yeah, that is kind of what's new, what's happening with this World Cup. Let's have a quick look at the venues though. So in the Eastern region, here in Toronto, BMO Field, which is at a capacity of 45,736, will host games and will be the only Eastern Canadian city to do so. In the other eastern cities or eastern regions, cities are Boston, Gillette Stadium, home of the New England Patriots at 70,000. New York's MetLife Stadium, as we mentioned, home of the Jets and the Giants, 87,157. Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field, 69,328. Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta United from MLS, 75,000. And Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, 67,518. That's home of the Miami Dolphins. And the Formula One Miami Grand Prix. On the central region, the three cities in Mexico are Mexico City, which is Stadio Azteca, the historic stadium there, 87,523. In Guadalajara, Estado Akron is 48,071. In Monterrey, Estado BBVA, 53,460. And then the southern central U.S. teams, or sorry, cities, two from Texas, you've got Dallas AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, 92,967. And Houston's NRG Stadium, 72,220. Arrowhead Stadium, which is home of the Kansas City Chiefs, 76,640. And on the Western region, Los Angeles SoFi Stadium, home of the Rams and the Chargers, 70,240. San Francisco's Levi's Stadium, home of the 49ers, it's 70,909. Seattle's Lumen Field, home of Seattle Sounders from MLS and Seattle Seahawks from the NFL, 69,000. And finally, the home of our Save the Caps and the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League. That is BC Place at 54,500. Quick note, to me anyways, I was a little surprised that MetLife Stadium is getting the final game. I thought maybe SoFi Stadium would be the place for it. It's a brand new stadium. It's state of the art, all that kind of stuff. LA is close enough to, um, Mexico. There's a lot of Mexican immigrants in the area, all that kind of stuff. I thought it would be a bit of a hit, but if they were going to just go to the biggest stadium, I'm surprised they didn't go to AT&T Stadium, but maybe they are concerned that AT&T Stadium and the Dallas area wouldn't draw for, a sold out venue for the World Cup final. I'm not sure. Anyways, New York got it. It should be interesting. I mean, we're in the middle of July when the final happens, so I am not worried about weather or anything like that. That said, let's take a quick look at what the different groups look like. So here you have the all the groups for this year's World Cup, and as we mentioned, the first two teams, first and second place teams in each group will be advancing to the World Cup final or World Cup playoff round, the single elimination round. And on top of that, 8 teams out of these 12 different groups that are in third place will get advancement into the round of 32. So we're just going to have a quick look at the groups here, what ranking they are in the world. Basically, who do I think is going to go through? So Group A, we have Mexico, one of the host countries. Mexico is ranked 14th in the FIFA men's world rankings. They are probably the class of this group. They also have the home field advantage, of course. I'm pretty confident Mexico is going through from this group. South Africa is the next team. South Africa is ranked 60 in the FIFA World Rankings. Probably not coming out of this group, I think. South Korea being the next team in this group. They're ranked 25th in the FIFA World Rankings. I'm guessing they're going to be the next team that gets through in this group. And then we have Czechia, who's right down to 40th in the FIFA World Rankings. I think that ranking's a little bit low, but nonetheless, I have a feeling that we're going to see Mexico and South Korea come out of this group. Group B, this is Canada's group. This is the group that obviously I'll be watching very closely along with Group F. Yeah, let's get into it. Canada, ranked 30 in the FIFA World Rankings. Canada's got some injuries. So obviously, as a homer, let's call a spade here, I'm hoping that we will see Canada pick up a win against Qatar and Bosnia. I assume Switzerland will sweep the group. We'll get to Switzerland in a moment. And hopefully Canada will get through. I mean, this is the first time Canada has made back-to-back World Cup appearances in 2022. They qualified by being the top team in the regional qualifying table. That was what a great run that was. This time around, they receive an automatic entry because when they're one of the host countries. But Jesse March, who took over in 2024, has continued to make strides. We reached the semifinal of the Copa America in 2024, and it feels like it's not it feels like we're getting a bigger player pool, and people aren't choosing to, you know, play for other countries when their eligibility could be there. We talked a bit about, the Whitecaps and potentially FC Montreal leaving MLS and what the impact of that could be on the Canadian national program. But for now, those two teams still exist, and this is really the result of seeing those two teams in the top flight of North American professional soccer, including the Canadian Premier League, um, being there and giving Canadian players a pathway to play professional soccer. Alfonso Davies, Canada's captain, one of the best, Canada's best player, no doubt, arguably one of the best players in the world, at least top wing backs in the world. He is not playing the opener. He's got a hamstring issue. He's questionable for the rest of the tournament. Center back Moise Mombito, he could also be out due to problems with his surgically repaired leg. Midfielder Marco Flores tore his ACL a couple weeks ago, so he was replaced on the 26-man roster by Jaden Nelson. And then midfielder Jacob Schefflenberg and Ali Ahmed both have hamstring injuries. Not sure where they're at. And defender Alfie Jones also has an ankle injury. Skinner is a little bit banged up, but the group is kind of favorable for Canada. Let's keep going. Bosnia. Bosnia is ranked 64th in the world. Qatar, they're ranked 56th in the world. Those are two very winnable games for Canada. And based on that and that alone, let's say Canada comes out of that with 4 points. That should be enough to move through. But I'm I'm optimistic they can win both of those games. Switzerland is ranked 19th of the world in the world, sorry. They are the class of this group, I believe. I believe they will be coming through with Canada, and I think those are the only two teams out of this group that are going to be coming out into the elimination round. Group C is a little bit more interesting. Brazil is the first team in this group. They are a team that can score for sure. There's a number of candidates on their team for the Golden Boot, something I'll have a look at in a little minute here. But they're ranked, like I said, they're ranked sixth in the world. And then right behind them is Morocco, ranked seventh in the world. Morocco had a little bit of a run at the last World Cup, upsetting Spain, if I remember correctly, in the knockout round. They're not to be taken lightly. They're not a historic soccer powerhouse, but their program's at a high right now. Those two teams, I think, are going to get through. The next two teams in this group, I do not think will be getting through. We have Haiti. Haiti's ranked 83rd in the world. This is one of the lowest ranked teams in this tournament. I don't think they're happy to be there, is basically the scoop. Scotland's ranked 42nd. So we'll see Brazil and Morocco get through from this group. Group D, for me, Group D is an interesting one. The top of this group is the United States. They are ranked 17th in the world. I think that ranking is a little bit generous. It's been a while since the United States have gotten out of the group stage. Hey everyone, just jumping in for a quick correction. Sorry about that. The USA did make the round of 16 in 2022. They did not qualify for the World Cup in 2018, and in 2014 and 2010 they made the round of 16. So they were actually successful in making it to the elimination round in the last three World Cups that they did qualify, even though they missed qualification for the 2018 tournament. They did not win a game in the knockout round. That's where my mistake came. Anyways, back to the show. Maybe this is, well, I'm pretty confident this time they will get out of the group stage. They're the highest ranked team in the group, and that's that. Every World Cup, there's always a group of death. I think this year there's not really a group of death because there's so many more teams. There's a lot more lower ranked countries in this, so we don't get that group where there's like two of the world's top teams in it. But Group D, I think, is a not a group of death, but a solid group. Um, the next team in this group is Paraguay. Now, Paraguay is ranked 41st in the world rankings. I think this is the team that's going to have a hard time in this group. The next two is Australia, ranked 27th, and then Turkey, which is ranked 22nd. I think those two teams are going to get through, and I think Group D is one of those groups where you're going to have a third team get through and make it into the elimination round. Group E is at the top of Group E far and away, Germany. The Germans are, we know all about Germany. They're soccer powerhouses. They have been for a long time. We're ranked 10th in the world right now, which is actually kind of low, but they haven't won a tournament in a little while. So Germany I think, will take care of this group. The next two teams are Curacao and the Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire. Ranked, Curacao is ranked 82nd. They're not getting through. They might not even score a goal. Ivory Coast is ranked 33rd. And then Ecuador, the last team in the group, is ranked 23. I think Ivory Coast is another one of those teams that you're going to see gets through to the elimination round, and Group E will be another group that like Group D, that sends through three teams. So Group F is topped by the Netherlands and Japan. Netherlands are ranked eighth in the world. Of course, that's my heritage, my background. And so the Dutch team with their total football and all that. It'll be another team that I'm definitely interested to watch. Obviously, Canada. I'm Canadian. Canada's my country first and foremost, but the Dutch team has been the team that I've rooted for in the World Cup every time it's been hosted up until the last one in Qatar, because Canada hadn't been making the World Cup. So it's really cool that, both of my countries that I root for are in it again, and we'll be following the Netherlands for sure. Japan, ranked 18th in the world, I think they'll be getting through. Sweden, ranked 38th in the world. You know what? I think Sweden's going to get through as well. And Tun, Tunisia, there we go, ranked 45th in the world. I think maybe if they were in a different group, they'd have a chance to get through. They're just set up so that this group is going to work against them, and they're probably not going to make it through because of that. And moving over to Group G, we have Belgium. Belgium is ranked ninth in the world. Pretty safe bet that Belgium's going to get through this group. Egypt is ranked 29th in the world. They are one of two teams in this group that I think will get through. Sorry, one of three teams in this group that I think will get through. Iran is ranked 20th in the world, and I think Iran will also get through. New Zealand ranked 85th, and unfortunately, I do not think they will stand much of a chance. Group H, we have Spain, the second ranked team in the world right now. Spain has been good for a long time, and yeah, I would say they're pretty much a lock to sweep this group. I'll go that far. Cabo Verde is ranked 67th. Saudi Arabia is ranked 61st. Don't think these two teams, I mean, playing against each other, I think it'll be an interesting game, but I don't think these two teams stand a chance to go through. And then you have Uruguay, which is ranked 16th in the world, and I think they're between having the two games against Cabo Verde and Saudi Arabia and being, ranked where they are. They're a good club and are good country, and they'll get through. Group I, this is the one that seems to be the consensus group of death. I think three teams will get through from this group as well, but let's have a quick look. We have France at the top of the pack here. France, of course, ranked third in the world. They lost to Argentina in the World Cup final back in Qatar in 2022. They'll be looking, obviously, to right that wrong, if you will. The next team is Senegal. Senegal is one of the best African teams. I think they're going to get through as well. Iraq is 57th in the world, and Norway is 31st. I think Norway will get through. I think Norway's ranking might be a little bit on the low side, and I think they're one of the teams that have the capability to get through and might even make some noise in winning a knockout round game, depending on the matchups. Group J, we have next, led by the defending champions, Argentina and Messi. Argentina is probably the class of this group as well, though I think this is a group that's going to send through three teams here. So then the next teams are Algeria and Austria. Algeria is ranked 28th in the world. Austria is ranked 24th in the world. And I think those two teams will get through. I'm not sure which one will be one of the top two, which one will get that third place spot, but I think they're good enough that they will both take their chances against Jordan, who is ranked 63rd in the world. They'll get their wins against Jordan. They'll probably have their loss against Argentina. And basically, the game against each other is going to be the one that decides who gets through in the top two and who's that third team. Portugal is the first team in Group K. Portugal's ranked fifth in the world. Ronaldo's still kicking it, man. I think the group lines up nicely for Portugal, and I think they'll sweep this group. DR Congo is the next team at 46th in the world. Uzbekistan is 50th in the world. There's no chance those two are getting through. Sorry, guys. Colombia is ranked 13th in the world, and they'll take that second spot in my estimation there. And then we're gonna go to Group L. Group L has England, who's ranked fourth in the world. I think England is in the conversation with Brazil, France, Argentina, and Spain as one of the favorites for this tournament. though we know how things tend to go for England. But yeah, they're the class of this group, even though Croatia, who the next team in there, is ranked 11th in the world and are not a bad team at all. Next, we have Ghana ranked 73rd and Panama ranked 34th. And you know what? This group is probably not great in terms of Panama's chances, but I think Panama gets through. So let's just recap here what I'm thinking. We're thinking Mexico and South Korea get through from Group A. Group B, it's Canada and Switzerland. Group C, we have Brazil and Morocco. Group D, we have the US, Australia, and Turkey. Group E, we have Germany, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. Group F, we have Holland, Netherlands, and Japan, and then Sweden getting through. Then Group G, we have Belgium, Iran, and Egypt getting through. Group H, we have Spain and Uruguay getting through. Group I, we have France, Senegal, and Norway getting through. Group J, we have Argentina, Algeria, and Austria getting through. Group K, we have Portugal and Colombia getting through. Finally, Group L, we have England, Croatia, and Panama getting through. I believe I'm missing one. Looking at this again, I'm thinking Scotland might be the team that does it. And that's kind of what I see happening in terms of the group stage. We will continue to watch the World Cup as it unfolds. Our soccer segment on the Money Sauce podcast is probably going to be more prominent as this tournament goes on. It's fantastic to have the world here in North America. It's fantastic to have Canada hosting their first World Cup games. And through all of that, I hope there's some renewed interest and money and all that to help the Whitecaps situation out, save the Whitecaps. Let's just enjoy this because who knows when it's coming back to Canada? Who knows what the future of Canadian soccer looks like? So this may be what we look back as maybe the pinnacle or a high point in Canada soccer history when, when we're old and the kids are all like, oh, Dad, what was it like? Or Grandpa or whatever, what was it like when Canada got through the group at the 2026 World Cup? So yeah, obviously I can't guarantee they will, but I feel strong that they will. And this could be a really fun historic thing to watch unfold before us. So I hope everybody enjoys the games in this first week. And if you get some tickets, I am A, jealous, and B, enjoy because it's something special. We will leave it at that. We will hopefully come back with either a Stanley Cup winner or on the verge of a Stanley Cup winner, and kind of a look at what's happened in the first set of games-ish of the World Cup. And we'll speak to you all next week.